Welcome back to Halftime Television. Myself, Norando Brown, and my co-host Darius Burris for another riveting, exciting, and objective episode. This week we'll be discussing the UEFA Champions League as well as the 12 starts of Christmas. First of all, the Europa Champions League draw. Darius, there are some interesting matchups there. I'd really love to hear your take on what you're looking out for. I know the Champions League resumes next year. However, a lot of mouths are watering, and myself included. I am extremely excited because a lot of top teams in Europe will be wagging their tails, and some will be not so excited with the draw they received. What's your take, Darius?
Now, this Champions League draw, this tie that stands out to me, Mr. Brown. You see that Real Madrid versus Man City tie? Pep versus Zidane. I think that's the first time they will be facing each other as managers. That's a hell of a tie. I don't know. That one is a toss-up for me. Now, I think it was last week, before the draw, Zidane spoke pretty boldly about if he got Liverpool, he would eliminate them. Well, he received Manchester City, so I'm guessing if people want to look at it this way, if you could beat Liverpool, then you probably could beat Man City, because Liverpool has had Man City's number for the past few games or the past few matchups they have had in the last 2 years.
Yeah,
but I don't think it will be so simple now.
Yeah, but
football is played on the pitch after all.
Yeah, but and we know as well, Darius, that that's never how it works, because a lot of teams
never.
Yeah, you look at it and say, okay, that team beat that particular team, and as a result, that team it shouldn't be such a matchup for that another team. So we know it's who shows up on the day, and it's quite an intriguing fixture as well in my view. I'm anticipating. I think it's the biggest matchup.
It is.
It is the biggest matchup because Manchester City is currently the powerhouse. They're the big spenders. They have the backing. They have a bunch of top players. I think.
But they have a woeful defense. I hope that by the time that draw rolls around, that actual game, that they would have strengthened either in defense through purchases, or the defenders that are injured would have returned and they would be in better standing, because if that match was to be played probably tomorrow, I anticipate Real Madrid would destroy Manchester City, but not destroy as in Manchester City wouldn't score. I just think Real Madrid will beat them because of the state of Manchester City's defense. That is how I look at it as of right now.
All right,
the defense is horrid.
Fair enough.
But what do you think about the Liverpool draws? Many people are saying, I heard this recently, is that Atletico is an excellent matchup for Liverpool, because defensively we know what Diego Simeone is. We know how defensive he is, and we know Liverpool likes to attack. But Van Dijk against Costa?
Well,
Costa is a rough striker.
If Costa
what do you think about that?
If Costa is fit, I think it should be quite an interesting matchup if Diego Costa is back from injury by then and back to full fitness. Virgil van Dijk, he hasn't quite faced anyone like Diego Costa in the English Premier League. I think the forwards in the English Premier League are not as physical. Well, I can't think of a striker off the bat that
I can't think of one either.
that is as physical as Diego Costa. So it should be quite interesting because he relishes those physical battles, and Van Dijk is the one who tries to stay away from them as much as possible. So we'll see how that one goes, but I'm looking forward to Barcelona versus Napoli personally.
Don't you think that's a pretty easy matchup for Barcelona right now?
A lot of persons.
After Napoli sacked Ancelotti, who did they hire?
I think
nobody.
I think Gattuso took over.
Gattuso?
Yeah.
He doesn't have much experience in terms of that level of football, except as a player, but not really as a coach.
I know, but he was at AC Milan for a short time.
Do you expect much from Napoli, honestly?
I think with the personnel that Napoli has, they can come through and we need
and
to,
lose.
we need to also remember that the last 2 times Barcelona has exited at the round of 16, it was
Italian teams.
there you go. So
that's where you're going with this.
exactly. So the Italians have a thing for Barcelona, and if Mr. Messi doesn't show up on the day, I see it going downhill and going downhill.
Mr. Brown, I don't see.
Well, as I
not
said,
in this lifetime. Napoli beating that Barcelona side. Maybe they could beat them
Napoli
in one game.
Napoli beat Liverpool. We have to remember this. Remember Napoli?
Well, fair enough. Under the tutelage and the coaching of Ancelotti.
And Napoli.
I need to see what got two sodas.
And you'd say Liverpool is a better team than Barcelona as of right now, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Right, so yeah, you never know.
A better playing team, yes.
You never know what will happen on the day. So I'm excited for that one, and I'm anticipating it because I'm not sure what it will be come February when the Champions League resume, because I'm not sure if Napoli will have turned a corner, and I'm not sure if Barcelona's.
We're not sure if Gattuso may still be in charge because he may be sacked.
Well, we're not sure.
Subsequently, depending on results.
We're not sure if Valverde will still be in charge because he's come under.
You think they will sack him?
He's come under quite some pressure lately with the Barcelona team and how they've been playing. It's not reflective of the Barcelona that everyone has grown accustomed to, and I think
that part is true.
I think it's more of the style of play rather than the results, because they're still
the results are still there. They are still on top. I think they're thereabouts. The race is obviously between them and Real Madrid, as it has been for years.
Right.
So sacking him now for that wouldn't make any sense. Other than, as you said, style of play. I don't see any other reason why he would sack him.
Yeah.
Unless he gets knocked out in the Champions League early, then you know that Barcelona is a team. They are trying to win the Champions League right now, because I think the last time they won it was about 4 years ago.
A while back. But I personally don't think Ernesto Valverde can take them to the Champions League final, and that's my view. Next matchup that should be interesting is I think Atalanta. Who's that Atalanta playing?
Can't even remember, because I didn't look at that time.
I think they're up against Valencia. That should also be an interesting one. I know
that is interesting because you really just don't know.
Yeah, it's a matchup of the underdogs.
Yes, that is that could be, for all we know, the most exciting tie that comes out of all of this, because both sides would think, I have a chance here,
I agree.
I drew Atalanta, and Atalanta will say, I drew Valencia. I didn't draw. But how could we forget Chelsea versus Bayern, though? Rematch of the 2010 final. How you wouldn't? You're saving your team for last. You think all is the best? That's what you believe?
No.
Are we going with this, Mr. Brown?
I'm actually not
clever.
I'm not so fond of that tie. I'm not so fond of it because
why?
I saw one Philippe Coutinho finding form.
Coutinho is on a tear right now.
He's finding a bit of form, and I think. It couldn't have come at a worse time for me as a Chelsea fan. We'll start with number 12. This here is the 12th season of Halftime. The 12th episode, sorry. The 12th episode in the first season. We've had some wonderful moments with you, our viewers, and subscribers. And going into the year ahead, it's nothing but greatness. We're anticipating the flood of comments, the love, and we continue to appreciate you. And it's a season of Christmas, so why not share the love?
The tide turned at 12. Molinari in the water. Tiger safely on the green. He would two-putt for par, and it's a three-way tie for the lead. Tiger would write yet another chapter. That short birdie putt gives Tiger a 2-shot lead with 2 holes to play.
42 yards. This is got to be pretty exact here. And he's got to get it spinning as well. Well, that sounded good. Let's see if it gets some spin.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
sir.
How do you do that?
Yeah, I think this is going to have to land pretty near the front and probably drive it in low. Let it take a skip and then check.
Asking it to check.
Oh, okay.
So that will be a birdie attempt from there for Tiger.
Maybe the best left to right putter ever.
Wow. Just not a lot of stress for Tiger.
This is a long one here. This has got to be 100 feet.
How about this?
How about that?
That is sublime.
What an effort.
The best club in his bag by far. And take another look at this. Just struck it beautifully, hit it on the right line with the right pace. Look how far. He's 10, 12 feet right. Comes across the slope, speeds up a little there. And it had a chance, he thought.
He's just proven, just another example. He's been the best player on the team this week.
Yeah.
Tiger trying to finish the job on answer at 16.
Oh, is it firm enough? Yes, it is. Oh!
He had the hat off before it dropped, Gary.
Unbelievable. So there's the first point. Sent out first, sent himself out first. Needed to get the first point. That's his 27th match win, the most now in President's Cup history.
All right, hats off to you, Mr. Woods. 2019 was a good year for you. I'll move on to number 10. Number 10, Allyson Felix. She won her 12th gold medal 10 months after giving birth. Now we go we tend to go on and not appreciate the level of pressure these female athletes go through, the competition and returning to competition, especially after becoming a mother. And let me say congratulations, Allyson Felix. You did well and you continue to do well, and you're a beacon in the sport of athletics.
I'm at the hotel, I'm cleaning bottles, I'm changing diapers, and getting ready for races.
How's balancing being a motherhood and training? How's that going?
It's hard. It's very hard, but it's kind of getting the hang of it more. Yeah, I have a great support system, so that helps.
That is the amount of gold medals that Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, the pocket rocket from Jamaica, has. She has won 9 gold medals. She is now, well, she's up there. She doesn't have as much as Allyson Felix that you just mentioned, but she is recognized to me as, I guess, the greatest female sprinter that came from the Caribbean, because there was no, I don't think there's anybody close to that. So, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce continued to move on from strength to strength. Congratulations on that great achievement. I am not sure anybody else will do that anytime soon from the Caribbean.
Right.
That is a stat worth noting, of course.
8. The number of triple doubles Luka Doncic has had this season. That's more than anyone in the NBA. And we must bear in mind as well that Mr. Doncic is just 20 years of age. MVP in the making, maybe. Great in the making.
That is the MVP, sir. That is the MVP. What making it telling me about? But anyhow, there are a lot of people that have been fighting, and he is injured, of course. So I'm guessing the others will have a chance to catch up to him while he's on injury. I don't know.
Well, the ratio will still reflect it, because having been injured, he will be missing a few games, and as such, his statistics will remain unless those guys do it in less games. So, Mr. Doncic, keep it up. I appreciate youngsters who keep their heads on their bodies. He's not one for the hype. He goes on the court and he gets the job done. And he is a team player.
Ice in his veins. Ice in his veins. He takes over at the end of any games. He's a closer. And that, listen, at 20 years old, I think they said that I was watching a stat recently. He is actually on course to be better than LeBron James was at that age. So that is a hell of an achievement because LeBron James has been widely recognized as the best player in the world for the past 12, 14 years. I think everyone has been saying LeBron James is the best. And if Luka Doncic, the stat lines he's putting up night on night, he's on course to be one of the best, I guess, European imports that the NBA ever had. So,
yeah, and it brings me back to my previous point that I mentioned, Darius. I appreciate when youngsters like Doncic keep their heads on their bodies. He's not one for the hype. You see him show up at the games. He looks like a professional. He he doesn't get carried away even during the games. I know he's extremely competitive, but he doesn't get too carried away by the stats.
That is true.
All of that. Yeah, so because we've seen so much young players come through the ranks and they started off really, really well, and then they tend to fade along the way. So I hope Luka keeps it up and he stays the way he is, and he just focuses on his game, because at the end of the day, that's what people will remember to determine if you're a great or if you belong on that wall of fame.
I agree. Moving on to number 7. That number reflects the number of managers sacked in the top 5 European leagues so far for the season. That is a very high turnover of managers, don't you think so, Mr. Brown? That is very concerning. I think the Premier League on its own has 4. That's concerning. What is going on in football, Mr. Brown? Is it that job security has become an issue?
Management job security has always been an issue, especially in the top flight league in England.
Yes, but we are only in December, Mr. Brown. 7 managers in 4 months.
Result oriented. If you're not getting the results, then you go, and that's how it is. To add something to what you just mentioned as well, Darius, on that number 7 stat. Did you know that Virgil van Dijk lost by 7 points to Lionel Messi in that Ballon d'Or race?
So, wow, I did not know that. 7 points?
All right.
So short?
All right, so that's how close it was, and that was the closest Ballon d'Or race in history. So it's bittersweet for him, but it's a part of sports, and he wouldn't want to be feeling what those managers who've been sacked are feeling now.
I don't think anybody would like to be feeling what those managers are feeling.
So close yet so far. Eh? All right, moving on. Number 6. That's the number of Super Bowl titles Patriots quarterback Patrick Brady has won, and he's become the first player in the history of the NFL to win so many titles. Adding to that, his coach Bill Belichick is also the oldest to do so, and he was aged, guess Darius, guess what age he was?
Don't tell me 66.
66. He was age 66.
Was he? What kind of mark of the beast stat is that? That is concerning. Illuminati confirmed right here on Halftime TV.
Yeah, Mr. Brady. When we speak about NFL, we speak about you, especially in the modern era, and he single-handedly has been doing it time and time again. It's something to be reckoned with when I sit here and I watch him. Whenever I get the opportunity to do so.
Timeless.
Patrick Brady, hats off to you and that killer arm that you have. All right.
Added to that stat though, there are 2 more 6s that deserve honorable mention. Liverpool, 6 Champions League titles. They obtained the 6th one this year. And Lionel Messi, 6 Ballon d'Ors. This was his 6th one. So
Ballon d'Or number 6.
Yes, this was number 6. So we have a triplicate of 6s again. And Mr. Brown, I really believe we should stop filming right now. I don't know if some demonic spirits are around us. I'm deeply concerned by the amount of 6s we have had in that one stat. But I will then move on now, because I want to get off that 60. Number 5. And this one is very near and dear to my heart. 5. The number of trips in a row that the Golden State Warriors made to the finals. 5 in a row. The only other team to do that was the Boston Celtics, and that was in the 70s. But also, added to that, in contrast this season, they have only won 5 games. Waterfall from grace, Mr. Brown. To go to the finals 5 times in a row, and then now only win 5 games so far out of the 28 games you have played so far this season. Mr. Brown, I'm deeply hurting. But that's a hell of a stat line, don't you think so?
It is what it is, Darius, and you can only stay at the top for so long. Especially in sports, every team gets their chance to win. I think if it were possible for them to get relegated.
Could I add one more 5 to that?
Sure,
we even did an episode where we did 5 reasons why the Golden State Warriors is garbage. Like 5 is their lucky number this year. Don't you think so?
I think that episode that we did, that's one of the reasons they're stuck on 5 wins.
Oh gosh! So you're trying to say that we jinxed them?
You have yourself to blame, Mr. Burris, as a fan. So you're jinxing them. But moving on to number 4. That's a number of points Toronto Raptors won the NBA title by when they beat Golden State Warriors earlier this year. It was quite an intriguing game. The Raptors were phenomenal. Kawhi Leonard, he was from another planet. He walked through those games as if he was playing training games, to say the least, and he was simply unstoppable. Also, something to be mentioned in here. It was also the number of hours it took for the Wimbledon champion to be decided earlier this year between Djokovic and Roger Federer. So it's quite an interesting year for the number 4 as well, Mr. Burris.
Added to that 4, the amount of clubs, the amount of countries that Jose Mourinho has coached and won titles in. Portugal, Italy, Spain, and England. It's 4. So yeah, that's another epic 4 that we could give an honorable mention. Moving on to number 3. Something epic happened in the Premier League. We saw a situation where Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Frank Lampard, Freddie Ljungberg, all of them played in, basically you could say, the same era. And they were basically managing their former clubs at the same time. I don't think that has happened anywhere else in England or at any other time in England, much less in the world. I don't know. We'll probably have to fact check that further. But I don't know if you ever heard of something like that, Mr. Brown.
Well, I haven't, and surprisingly, we've seen clubs join for their former managers because they've found that a lot of the players and the fans tend to rally around the managers more when they have
used to play with the club.
Yeah, exactly. And
although that didn't happen with Freddie Ljungberg on Sunday when Arsenal played, but all right. I don't want to digress.
But we saw Frank Lampard lose 2 games at home so far this season, and that's as much as Mauricio Sarri lost last season. And I don't see the fans getting furious. I don't hear any chants in the stands, and I know that had it been someone who didn't have history with the club,
that's true,
it would have been a different story. Number 2 is the number of Lakers players currently in the MVP race. I hope one of them gets it, but if Doncic gets back fit, I don't see them getting it over him.
It's game 7.
It's do or die. Win or go home.
Everybody wants a hero. Is this the dagger? Everybody wants someone who's gonna fight fire with fire.
The Raptors have a new challenge. The return of the Warriors' most lethal offensive weapon. Durant goes down holding his leg. It's the right calf that put him out.
And he is headed right back to the locker room.
Lowry for the win. Won't go. And there'll be a game 6 in Oakland.
Who's gonna run the show? Everybody wants a hero. Everybody wants someone.
Here's Lowry again. Epic first half the 7th.
Thompson running the floor, and Thompson grabs his left knee, writhing in pain.
He's out for the rest of the game.
Van Fleet gets a wide open look, puts it in. Fred Van Fleet, a huge three-pointer.
What a night in Oakland. Raptors up 1. Danny Green. Green now sends it to Siakam. And a turnover. 9.6 seconds to go.
Iguodala throws it to Green, who catches it. Back to Curry, puts up a three. Won't go. Ball's still loose. They dive on it and try and call time.
So it's a technical foul.
Canada, the NBA title is yours. The Toronto Raptors are the 2019 NBA champions.
Everybody wants a hero.
Your 2019 Bill Russell Finals MVP is Kawhi Leonard. Your 2019 NBA champions, the Toronto Raptors.
The 2019 NBA championship is yours, Canada.
I think to that end, I would like to present one halftime cup to the Toronto Raptors for obviously winning the NBA title. Just this one halftime cup. I don't know what will happen next year. But I also have one dustbin for all the Golden State haters. Believe you me, we will be back. I put all of you inside here. And on that note, I would like to wish all the halftime fans and all the people affiliated with halftime a very Merry Christmas. I want you all to continue to like, subscribe, share. We intend to grow from strength to strength in 2020. Of course, Mr. Brown, I know you have a greeting to give them, so I will let you take it from here. But I needed to say those things, and I needed to point out the haters need to go in that dustbin that I just placed on the side here. Mr. Brown?
Not only the haters, but for all those teams, managers, clubs that we have done episodes on that are garbage, I implore on you to elevate yourselves
so that you can receive a halftime cup.
There you go, and come better in the new year, because we genuinely do not enjoy doing those garbage episodes. But sometimes it's fully necessary.
Are you being honest? Sometimes I enjoy it. The little banter is good, but I agree with you. You can't always be negative.
Right, it has to be done sometimes. So sadly, we are the ones who have to do it. To that end, Merry Christmas to everyone who has been supporting the Halftime TV show. We have been on air for 4 months now.
Yeah,
4 months
12
Larry?
episodes. 12 episodes.
Good. So 12 episodes.
It's about 3
across
months.
4 months.
3 to 4 months. Yeah, around it.
Right, and we'd like to wish everyone and their families a happy new year when it gets here. Stay safe, and remember, it's a season to be jolly.
Agreed.
Norando here, tuning out from my halftime.